Hi everyone, welcome to Union Spaceship Command. We're Wired Games, I'm Padraig.
I'm Mark.
And we're here, we want to do a little video to show you what it is that we've been working on for quite a while now. We want to start getting these out. We thought it would be a good way to kind of engage with people, show them what we've been up to, and also just elicit a bit of feedback from people. So, I suppose to kick things off, what is Union Spaceship Command?
Union Spaceship Command is a cooperative spaceship simulator where you and up to 4 friends work together to command a spaceship. So there are 5 roles: there's captain, helm, tactical, engineering, and science. And each person can take one or more of those roles. So if you don't have a full crew, if you only have 3 people or 2 people, you can each take multiple roles and fly the ship that way. So at the moment we're flying a ship between us.
Yeah, right now I'm helm and tactical, so I'm in charge of flying us about and targeting and firing weapons.
Yeah, and I'm captain, of course. I'm only joking, and engineering, and it's engineering we're going to be focusing on today.
Yeah, exactly. So we've been working on the UIs for quite a while. Actually, to go back a little bit, I suppose, how did Union come about at all? What's the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, so I mean, it came after playing Artemis. So Artemis Spaceship Bridge Simulator, which came out I think in 2012.
It's a few years old now. Yeah.
It's a few years old now, yeah. And it had that concept of multiple people working together to command a spaceship, and it had helm and captain and engineering and so on. But I really, while I was playing it, I really wanted it to be a different game basically. So it's very, I mean, in terms of simulation, it's an arcade game. You know, it's all on one plane. It's all effectively 2D, even though there are rendered 3D graphics. So what I mean that is when you're helm, you're effectively just turning left and right and how fast you're going forward. When you're tactical, you're just choosing which ship to fire on, and you can fire torpedoes if they're in the one set arc. And engineering is just toggling some power levels up and down. And I did want that concept, and I think it's a brilliant concept, and fair play to Tom for his work on it. But I mean, I just really wanted it to be something else. And really what I wanted it to be is submarines in space, effectively, Silent Hunter. So I mean, it's been a while now since I really played it all that much, but I love the Silent Hunter games where you're commanding a German, and in the later ones American submarine, and they really have the depth that I was looking for in Artemis basically.
They're really more simulations, I suppose.
Yeah, they're more simulation, exactly.
And we've gone for a bit of that. I suppose the first thing anyone jumping into this, if they're coming from like either of those games, will see is that it's a full 3D environment. I don't know if you can see it now, but you can see all the different thrusters firing on the ship here. They control the pitch, the yaw. I mean, we can go up, we can go down, we can be above our target in space.
Yeah.
We can be below them using galactic up and down. We can even put this thing into reverse there, the engines. So that's nice. I think it's immediately quite a little bit different. So I suppose that's where we're going for. Where's the game right now? Obviously, this is all gameplay footage you're looking at right now. I'm really flying this ship.
Yeah. So, I mean, as you say, this has been in the works for quite a while. I'm the solo developer on it, so it's been slow going. But in fairness to myself, I have a lot done. So, for example, the 3D engine stuff is at a fairly advanced state. I mean, there's still more to do in terms of those graphics, but
that was a nice little shadow there. Actually, that's
quite happy.
Yeah.
But more importantly, the game is built from the ground up to be multiplayer, to be networked. So it was important to me that you could play this online with friends and have the same experience that you'd have, on a LAN or just playing it solo. So what I mean by that is we've fully networked physics. So if you bounce off one of those asteroids, it'll move away. You can collide with other ships and have those realistic physics. There are all the actual ship simulations, so power, heat, integrity of the different sections on the ship. We've blown up in a while, for example, to show you destruction. And we're just getting to the point now where I'm building the UI on top of that. So yeah, that's where we're.
So speaking of UIs and all the different systems in Power, I was looking at engineering there earlier. There's quite a bit going on in that role. Can you show me something to do with that?
So I mean, this is still very much a work in progress, but there were 2 stages to getting the UI in place effectively. One was to implement a vector-based UI. So because I wanted to go for that whole futuristic, I mean, obviously it's futuristic, but I wanted the UI to be something that if you saw it on a film, effectively, if you saw it in, on Star Trek or on,
Yeah, well, I mean, we would need a lot more lens flare.
Need a lot more lens flare.
But
you get the idea that if you saw it on a film, that it would look right, effectively,
Yeah.
And yet still be usable, because obviously that's not an issue on TV. But so vectors was the way to go, and the engineering is really the beating heart of the ship, because what engineering does has an effect on everything else, So when you fire a turret, it needs power, and the efficiency, the performance of the turret, how much damage it does, is based on the power level. The integrity has effect. The heat has an effect. When you're using sensors to do scans, when your shields are getting hit, all that stuff needs to know about integrity, about heat, about power, and so on. So it made sense to really focus on engineering first. And for engineering, this power wheel, as I call it, was an early, inspiration. So, when I was prototyping, so I spent about a year prototyping different things for this game to really find out, is this something I want to make, and is it something I can do really well, because I didn't want to just make effectively an Artemis clone, and or a prettier Artemis or a slightly deeper Artemis. I really wanted to make something that was unique in and of itself. So I tried first of all with the pipes. The pipes water game, where you've tiles and they're pipes and you can rotate them around to get water.
We
get water from one point on the screen to another. So I tried that with power first. So you effectively had the same system. You had to get power from the central core out to different systems, and it was interesting. But the fact was, one wrong flip of a tile and your ship wouldn't fly anymore, and it was too fiddly. A little bit
punishing as well.
Punishing and fiddly, and it wouldn't have worked. It was an interesting prototype, but it just didn't work. And so then I moved from that to something similar to tiles, but it was again a 2D map, and the systems were on it, but you were drawing lines between nodes. So almost like one of those mobile games where you have to really drawing lines, but that didn't feel right either. And then I was looking at some UIs, and in fact Eve's, and Eve has when you're outfishing your ship in Eve, it has the equipment slots arrayed in a circle. I mean, there's nothing special about the circle. It's just an interesting way to show it there. But it just clicked to me then that if I put reactor nodes effectively, which are these central circles.
That's the inner 5 there.
Yeah, the inner 5 here.
Okay.
If I had reactor nodes in the center and equipment arrayed outside, that you could then drag connections between these nodes to power systems, and you'd have to decide, which power went where. And it was important to me that it had that it had positional significance. So I wanted this to be that forward weapons could only get power from forward reactors, basically.
Okay.
So that it wasn't just here's 40 points, distribute them between your equipment.
Okay, because you have to be a little bit more clever, I suppose, with this system. Like, I see you have a lot of power going in a bit of a web there. What's happening there at the top? I see there's...
So at the moment, everything has quite low power. So there's 2 power going to the forward left weapons, 2 to the right, 3 to the actual forward turret, and so on. So let me just show you. So let's say I want to put extra power into the forward turret. I literally just drag the connection again, and it increases the power. I can remove the power to it at any time by dragging backwards, and that just clears it.
And of course, that's dropped to 2 because you've some power
And
coming
that's
from
dropped
those,
to 2 because
those
I've
other ones.
one power coming from each connection here. This isn't fully complete, so in the next build, I'll be able to click on any of these connections and then just tweak up and down the amount of power going across it.
Okay,
so you want it
yeah.
to drag and drop all the time. But this is just a working version right now.
Okay.
So key to this is, so let's just focus on this forward weapons here. Let's remove all power from it first of all. So now it's completely unpowered. The orange circle here around its node. So I call these circles nodes. So you drag power from the reactor node into the equipment node, okay? And that provides power. Now this equipment has its minimum operating power is 3. So you need to put in 3 power before it'll operate at all.
Okay, so you could take that all from that node, or you could mix it from from all 3 at the front. You could power it.
Yeah.
To get the 3 power you need.
Yeah. So actually, I'm going to pick a different turret here because, in fact, this one is at the bottom of the ship and it's hardest to see. This one here is on the rear of the ship. If I actually just circle around here, that's this turret here that I'm mousing over. So can you target that ship and fire it at the moment?
We are targeted.
Oh yeah,
okay.
just fire.
So I'm switching over the tactical and pew pew.
Yeah, so you see this turret here is firing. If I now remove the power from it and press fire again.
Okay, we'll fire again.
Yeah, it won't do anything.
Okay, yeah.
So now if I put in 1 power, it's still orange, so if you fire now, it won't operate.
No,
and as soon as I put in enough power, so if I drag another connection, put it to 2, and now fire, and there we go.
There we go, lovely.
And what's happening here is, as you fire, you generate heat, and the amount of heat that you generate is shown by this dark sliver. So let me just put in extra power so that we generate.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought was, why are we only putting in 3? Let's just fill it with power. Can we?
Yeah,
put in
yeah,
loads?
we will.
Does it work better?
It does. Yeah. So
okay.
now it's going to do a lot more damage, but it's also going to generate much more heat. So you fire there, and yeah. So if you actually fire again now, and I'll just show you something.
Cool.
So what's happened is, see this dark area? That's actually the power that the heat you generate from the next hit, from the next use. Sorry. And so if you fire now, what happens is the amount. God, don't fire again. You
okay, I've done a bad thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when the amount of heat goes above the heat capacity, which is this red bar, and the bright red is your current heat, it'll actually eat away at the integrity, at the health of that system.
Okay, but I'm not in engineering, so I don't care about that. I'm in tactical, so I want to fire more. So
yeah, you want to fire more.
I'm just going to keep firing now.
And you've destroyed the system. So now...
Okay, now it's your problem to fix because you're engineering.
Yeah.
I don't need to care about that, right?
You don't need to care about that.
Excellent.
But I haven't implemented repair yet. So, so that turret isn't going anywhere. So let's switch to a different turret.
Right. That wasn't in the script. Right?
Yeah, no, it wasn't in the script.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you. But yeah, so you can see now you've completely burned out that particular turret, and the repair system is coming. It will be in place. We're actually quite interested in it. We think it's quite cool. So, but it's not quite ready to be displayed yet. Yes, power levels. So
okay, so I was doing more damage there, but obviously the cost was. I was generating a lot of heat. And, I also was irresponsible with that heat, and I broke.
Yeah, and for people that are really worried now that people are just going to be destroying things all the time. First of all, the amount of heat being generated here, those values will be tweaked to allow you to do a few shots before you actually blow up the ship. For testing purposes, everything generates too much heat at the moment. But secondly, there will be a safeties toggle, and it'll be on by default.
But it can be turned off.
It can be turned off.
Great.
Safeties, what it does is if the heat you generate will be over 60% of the heat sink of this red bar, it won't fire.
Okay, and that's 60% because you want to reward an engineer.
I want to reward an engineer who actually, or actually not 60. It'll probably be 80. We'll figure out the actual number. But basically, if you have safeties on, yes, no one will ever be able to burn out a system. but they'll also lose maybe 25% of the heatsink to play
which is
with.
your fire rate, which is your damage. So you're not going to be able to. All right. Well, that's cool.
So let's talk about these connections. So as you see, you can bring power from multiple connections. In fact, there's no point in powering the system anymore because it's dead.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So, yes, I can technically just draw all my power from one node, but what happens is when a system gets hit, when it takes a hit from an enemy attack, for example, if that hit is a critical hit, and a critical hit is basically when it does over a percentage of the equipment's damage,
Yeah.
So,
okay.
If it's a critical hit, it'll have an explosion, so it'll do extra damage to that equipment. All right,
Okay.
and it has a chance of creating an overload, and an overload will travel back along these connections and can even bounce out to other equipment. And when they hit the reactors or hit the other equipment, they can do damage and or knock them out for a set amount of time, basically. Okay?
Okay.
Depending on how bad the overload was. The overload, the chance of an overload is based on how much power, the power level. So the higher, the more power you put into a system, the greater chance that it'll have an overload.
So we're pushing.
Okay?
It's okay.
But you can make it a bit safer by giving that power from multiple places. So, for example, if I took equal power from each of these systems, it's now significantly less likely that it'll overload.
Okay, because it's more balanced.
It's
We're not
more
running
balanced.
everything just through one piece of power cable. I presume
Exactly,
it's like kettle leads that run.
Yeah, it's like kettle leads.
Okay,
So that's the general idea. So that's the reason. That's one of the primary reasons that you don't want to just take each one reactor node and send all its power one place. It is better if you split it.
Okay.
But you can, if you really want to, you can just dedicate one reactor to one piece of equipment. And then another consideration is, again, the heat. So heat isn't just a thing that damages equipment. It also...
Though it definitely does that.
Oh, it
because
definitely
I just
does that.
demonstrated that, which
Yeah,
actually
you
is
just
really
demonstrated
useful
that.
right now. Great.
Exactly. So it also increases the ship's energy signature. And the ship's energy signature is what makes it detectable to sensors. So you have a sensor strength, and your sensor strength dictates what kind of what kind of energy signature you can pick up. The stronger your sensors, the lower you can as your sensor strength gets higher, you can pick up lower energy signatures.
So if we power down all our weapons and turn off our shields and really don't
use anything, you'll be almost invisible. Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of harkening a bit back to the submarine.
Exactly. The whole idea of silent running. What generates heat? These reactors generate heat, so it's not actually taken into consideration. They can't burn out because the idea is their heat sink is large enough that you can never overpower them. They
provide
dissipate
the
as much
power
heat as they create. Okay, but they are creating heat, and then as you use equipment, then that is generating more heat
because we're filling up heat sinks.
Because you're filling up heat
points
sinks
all over the ship, and that's going to make us. So we can power everything on, and we can sneak up on someone, or we can turn on our shields, power up all our weapons.
You can power everything off and sneak up on somebody.
What did I say?
You said the opposite.
Oh, right. Okay. So we can power everything down or off, and we can be quiet. Oh, okay, cool. And also the heat, the amount of heat in the system affects how easy it is to target that system too, right?
Indeed. Yeah.
So if you're running your forward guns really, really hot.
Yeah, and there's one other thing that really has an impact on, other than heat, that has an impact on the energy signature is, well, primarily two things. Shield. So when your shield is on, it's a big ball of energy. So turning shields on, makes you, much more protected, but it also makes it, lights you up for everybody in the area, basically.
Which is why in those shows they don't have the shields on all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So and the second thing is active sensor scans. So when you've got passive sensors, and that's used for everything, but when you lock onto a ship, first of all, if you lock onto a ship, you can do active sensor scans. That does increase your energy signature. And then the other one is if you're doing long range scans.
Okay.
That dramatically increases. So you can't see you can't like get a broader picture of everyone else without broadcasting your position to everyone else, basically.
Okay, so you want to be careful about that.
Yeah, so you probably want to do a long-range sensor scan and then move, basically change your trajectory and move to a different place. You know,
don't be where they
don't be where you last were. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, which is that's good, and presumably we will be supporting games with multiple ships, so you could of course do long range scans from one place with one ship in your fleet, and they could inform other ships.
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
Over here, and
that's why ideally you'd have a fast scout ship doing the long range scans,
which are just lots of really good scanners.
Yeah, and I mean the fast scout ship will outrun most of the bigger ships anyway. So you know, as long as you keep moving, you're pretty safe.
Okay, that's cool, and that's a nice role to have, I think, in a fleet as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we've been following the ship for a while now, and I don't think I can see it, but I've been doing a really great job of keeping it in line. I would definitely get a commendation if I was the helm of it.
Yeah, I don't know if we have enough turrets left to actually blow this
Well,
thing
whose
up.
fault is that? Clearly, the engineer shouldn't have. Why would you let me blow it up?
I should have implemented safeties before.
You should have implemented safeties. Clearly, I think we have. Okay. So if we power up, can you power up my other weapons?
Yeah. Actually, let me do that. So you'll have to get a direct. I'm going to give power to. Let's see now. I'll get them all half 5 power.
That seems like enough.
Yeah. So when nodes are maxed out, they change to yellow to show you that they're at full.
So that's 9. I can't
that's
get any.
9. Each reactor on this ship can put out 9 power. Yeah. So fire.
Okay.
Actually, this.
Do you want to get a view?
This is a different type of turret, and it actually generates less heat. So we can actually put 7 power
That's
through
good
it.
for me. Why didn't we use that one?
Yeah, I should have used that in all the ships.
All right.
But now, because the turrets have firing arcs, so if you fire now...
Do you want to switch to observer so people can see what's happening?
No, but they can see it here. Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Well, I mean, so...
Yeah, well, we'll see. Okay, so
They'll see it here, and they'll see what happens on the actual wheel.
Yeah, so I'm firing
So now...
right now.
Oh, my God, you've actually killed your left turret. Remember,
I'm sorry.
our turrets aren't balanced at the moment. They're generating too much heat.
Okay, that's a huge design flaw. We should take this ship back to the shipyard.
Yes,
I think, and it's actually interesting as well. I can see you can't see this, but the turrets are now broken on the outside of my ship, and that they no longer point at what they should be pointing at because I've broken.
Yeah,
them.
they're dead. I'm afraid.
Okay. Oh, that was a little bit of life left in it. Okay.
It's dead too.
I think it just died. All right.
Yeah, so you have the forward bottom turret. So if
I can get above it here, I should be able to.
Yeah.
So that's something that Helm needs to think about as well. You can't just you need to line up your shots a little bit for. So Helm is going to have to be aware of what tactical. Is available.
Helm's going to have multiple views. So there's cameras mounted on the ship, and so they'll be able to see where their arcs are basically, and do their best to keep ships in those arcs.
Okay. This is why you want multiple people. I'm having to switch between helm and line up. I think we might just need to do a set. I think I've broken the ship.
Okay, well I can. Helm doesn't have a full. Oh, I can't.
Can you take over helm?
I'm going to kick you out of helm.
Okay. No.
Captain Evil. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's the enemy ship is Captain Evil.
Yeah.
What? Clearly.
Oh, did I not take helm? What did I kick you out of? Yeah, well, I didn't take it. Okay, so continue.
That's the crew management system, by the way. So
yeah, they're all placeholder UIs, guys. So I'm flying the ship now.
Okay, I'm just in tactical, and if I click on helm now, I can see what he can see.
Yeah.
But I just get an observer.
As you can see, these ships move pretty slow because this is a capital ship.
Yeah. Oh, torpedoes! I have torpedoes loaded.
Oh, you have torpedoes.
Hooray!
Excellent.
Oh, we can totally do it. I think that's the shield went down actually.
Did it? Try it again.
I think we'll try again.
Fire.
Torpedo. It definitely needs another one. That is a good shield. Okay, so this went on for a while and the ship did not blow up. Mark, why didn't the ship blow up?
It seems that when I was working on the torpedoes, I disconnected them from the damage system. So they won't destroy anything.
Okay, and, so it's your fault.
No, if we'd had enough phaser power, we could have taken down the shields.
All right, but I would see that as an engineering flaw, so it's still your fault.
Yeah, okay.
I have to take a little bit of that too. Don't melt your guns, guys. It's a terrible
We
idea.
will show destruction in the next video, and you can go and see destruction in our previous video. So, Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's about it for this week. We'll have another one of these devlogs in, I think, 2 weeks' time. Thanks for tuning in. And we should also let you know that our forums are now live on wiredgames.eu. So you can go there, discuss the game, talk to us, whatever you'd like to do.
Yeah, we'd love to chat to you guys about Union and space and science. We like science.
Yeah, we do like science, and we like games.
Yeah. And, okay, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks very much. See you in 2 weeks.